Good morning, Radman. I'm your host, Not Small Che, and joining me is my co-host, Mini Corgi.
Accurate.
Today we are doing a mini-sode on the Dreadnoughts. Why? Because I've been busy dealing with my honeymoon stuff and wanted to do something smaller. And we also keep getting real close to Dreadnoughts without actually talking about Dreadnoughts, so now's the time to do it. We'll see how it turns out. Also, Corgi has a new microphone. If the audio's fucked, sorry, you're just gonna have to deal with it. Oh yeah, we were late because Corgi forgot we were supposed to record. We scheduled a time to record. I'm like, hey, you good to record in like 30 minutes? And she was like, wait, we're recording? And then couldn't record for several days after that. Because I was busy, Corgi was busy. Corgi's house is fucking old.
Horrible
old pipes. We have to record today because for tomorrow, the temperature where Corgi lives is 37 degrees.
39, actually.
39 degrees. And you don't have air conditioning?
We do have air conditioning.
Not good air conditioning.
We just don't have good insulation either.
Yeah. Classic Australian house.
Yeah.
No insulation.
Doesn't protect you from the heat, doesn't protect you from the cold.
Yeah.
What does it protect you from? I don't know. Homelessness? That's the only thing I can think of.
Anyway.
Right. Dreadnoughts.
Okay.
Where my only experience is in Power Wash Simulator.
You're getting ahead of it. Great.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Great segue, Che. So some kind of related news. If you're familiar with Warhammer's connection to Event Horizon, IDW has announced that they are making an Event Horizon comic book. Don't know what that'll be like. Which is interesting. I tentatively look forward to it because, once again, I don't know what it'll be like. But I've read some Alien comic books and it's come together very well.
Like the Alien comic book that traumatized you as a child?
No, that didn't traumatize me. If you want to know about that comic book, I talk about it in our Tyranid episode. Or the episode immediately following the Tyranid episode, but I think it's in the Tyranid episode. But that was my first
episode.
It was my first introduction to Alien. They made comic book adaptations of the original script of Alien and with its original designs and the original script one of the original scripts for Alien 3, and they're really good. There are other comics that I have heard tell of that are also really good. I just haven't read them. Anyway, just figured if people don't pay attention to any comic book news, which I imagine is 90% of anyone, that might interest you. Also, IDW changed their logo and it's shit. So if you see a logo that just says id Comics, that's IDW. Fucking idiots.
What?
Anyway.
Dreadnoughts.
Yeah, Dreadnoughts. Now we're actually on to that point. So, Dreadnoughts, Corey. What are they? Dreadnoughts.
Giant fuck-off ships.
Yeah, Dreadnoughts answer the age-old question of what happens after you die? The answer being that you faintly drift off into the cold embrace of death and then suddenly awake surrounded by your battle brothers. They look at you and tell you, "It is okay, brother. We brought you back." The silence is deafening as they look at you and at each other, wondering if you are okay. Then a voice booms from your chest. A voice that is not yours, but it is your words. "You motherfuckers! You put me in the sarcophagus! I told you! Don't put me in the sarcophagus! Crassus! You stupid fuck! You told me you wouldn't put me in the sarcophagus! You assured me you would not put me in the sarcophagus! I was assured of this!"
I was just going to say, this one I do know some about, because a long time ago, before we even contemplated doing this podcast, that Warhammer DLC for Power Simulator
that was what
just come
gave
out.
me the idea to do this podcast, was you were like, hey, you want to watch me play this game? And I did, and then you just kept asking me lore questions. And at the end of that night, I was like, we should start a podcast.
Yeah, and I remember you telling me about the Dreadnoughts, how this is just what I vaguely remember.
You thought they were Horus Heresy. And that was not like, at the time, this was like 10 minutes ago. She was like, oh, we're getting into Horus Heresy stuff because Dreadnoughts are from the Horus Heresy. And I'm like, no. They're around, but no.
There's something. But yeah, what I do know is that when a Space Marine dies...
Not quite dies, but yeah.
They don't get a nice death. No.
Some of
their
them do.
Their body just gets shoved into a life support pod that has guns strapped to it and sent off into war.
We'll get into exactly what you got to do to get put into the Dreadnought, but yes. So, when a Space Marine is killed, but not quite yet, also known as fatally wounded, So they are going to die. You can't put a dead person in the Dreadnought. If they are 100% dead, not going to work. But if they're dying or otherwise maimed or permanently disabled, which kind of the same thing as maimed, but these guys get the good old Emperor's Mercy by their apothecary. And then whatever funeral rites their chapter tradition demands. But sometimes, if you are just unfortunately heroic enough, they get no such rest from an eternity of war. They're just too good, too wise, too fighty for death. It's a waste, and the chief apothecary, the company chaplain, and the chapter master, which is the guy in charge of the entire chapter of Space Marine, so like, big dick guy.
Oh yeah, big chief.
They will come together and decide, nah, fuck it, we need this guy. So they take this remnant of a Space Marine. Here's a quote. Frequently little remains of these warriors besides a collection of shriveled biological components. So remnant is a very accurate term here.
Oh god, no, please don't say remnant.
And they inter them into a cyber-organic web of an armored sarcophagus suspended in amniotic fluid and wired in with a mind impulse unit that allows them to control the dreadnoughts with their minds. They slap a little scroll on the chassis,
Titties.
on the, chassis, to say who this is, and then they will remain in the dreadnought until they die a second death. Not from time, though. They are now immune to the ravages of time, more or less. But as time goes on, their grasp of time begins to slip as they are no longer really tethered to the material world. And when the dreadnought is not active, they are kind of just a thought in a void. And having been a thought in a void before, for an indeterminate time, not a pleasant experience.
Do I want to ask?
Sure.
Are you talking like coma or
No, so
depression?
No, so one of the weirdest experiences of my life, and it took me 7 years to maybe longer to be able to like actually verbally explain what it was. So I passed out for a moment, but it wasn't like a pass out where you just like pass out. I was just walking and then
Did you see a lamb?
I felt like my entire body go numb. And it was like tunnel vision, and then my vision went black. And I was still completely conscious and thinking, and I'm like, this isn't great. I can't feel myself. I can't feel anything. And then I came to, but I was not where I blacked out. I was like a meter away, just sitting down. Like sitting down normally. It wasn't like I'd fallen. I had just walked somewhere, sat down, and I had no control over my body. And I'm like, And then I was convinced for like maybe a year that I was no longer in the real life. It's called derealization. I found that out like 7 years later. I was like, oh, that's it. When you're just like, oh, there was the pre-times and the post-times. And I'm not entirely unconvinced that when I die, I won't just wake up back at that moment in time. And everything since then has just been a dream. I'm really hoping that's not the case.
Yeah, me too, because that means that I'm a dream. I don't know I'm a dream.
This is where we learn that I am a psyker, because some psychers believe that everything is a dream, their own dream. And yeah. But also, we've already established in an old episode, I have had prophetic visions of the future. Go watch our, what video was that in?
Don't ask me, I barely remember any
I
of
didn't
this.
have Deepkin. If you want that story, go watch our I didn't have Deepkin video. Anyway, Thoughts and Void, bad time. It's not great. When you just like can't feel or see or anything and you're just kind of like a thought and then you wake up and you don't know how much time has passed, great. It's a great feeling. Hate it. Anyway, one upside is that they now get a little oil bath ceremony every day for the rest of their very, very painfully long life. And they have speakers so they can chat. Or, if they're Bjorn, so people can annoy the fuck out of them.
Who is Bjorn?
We'll get into Bjorn. And yes, I did just pronounce Bjorn 2 different ways. I meant to say Bjorn the first time, but then I said Bjorn.
So is it E or R?
It's an O, but it's usually that's pronounced Bjorn.
Yeah.
No, it's bear, if you didn't know. Bjorn translates into bear.
Ooh, we love those.
Yeah. To follow up on when they aren't active thing, they are interred into a stasis chamber of their respective. I wrote stasis chapter. Stasis chamber of their respective stasis chapter, where they sleep until they're needed because of the A, thought in a void thing, but 2, operating these things is extremely mentally stressful and causes genuine mental decay, exhibiting symptoms of lethargy, confusion, senility, and losing track of the passage of time, as we sort of mentioned. So they tend to keep them in stasis to really lessen the effects of these on the dreadnoughts.
Well, I mean, I'd be fucking pissed off too if it's like, finally, I'm done fighting, I died honorably, and then you open your eyes and you're back in the field and like, fuck!
So, all of this sucks, right? As you just observed. But
yeah, but that's life.
The thing about being a dreadnought is it's considered a very high honor. They don't have many, that being dreadnoughts, like the body of a dreadnought, just like not. They have a lot of dreadnoughts, but they don't have a lot of people in the dreadnoughts. They don't have a lot of dreadnoughts, the machine.
Because you have to have a very strong constitution.
No, it's just they're hard to make, and they don't really know how to make more, which is pretty standard for the
technology.
Like Warhammer, is we have a very limited amount of these things. But the limited amount is like, oh, we have so few. And then it's just like, and we have as many as we need in the lore. So we have a limited amount of these. We have so few, and it's like 10 million. All right. But they don't really know how to make more, as I said. But they do have a few people who do know how to do it. So it's not this is if we lose this, we've lost it permanently. This is hard to make, and we've only got a handful of people that can do it, and it's super resource and time intensive. So we can't pump out, just like, we can't use these as for every regard, because we will rapidly lose the amount. We need to put highly useful people in them, because can't produce them in a high rate. But in general, to permanently lose a dreadnought is a really big deal. So the Space Marines they are put in are considered the best of the best and too valuable to lose to something as lame as death. Because one, you really don't want to lose one of these guys, and B, you really don't want to lose one of these fucking things.
Yeah, I wouldn't imagine so. Especially considering when you die, you usually end up going to the warp, right?
Yeah, well, yes. So your soul goes to the warp, but it's not strong enough, so it dissipates within the warp. So you're not like conscious in the warp.
Thank God.
You just sort of like, your soul dies, but your soul dies in the warp. But it's not like, now it's your conscious being tortured in the warp for all eternity. It just sort of...
It's not the hell that we think of.
The body is what sustains your warp presence, and with the death of your body, the soul no longer has the strength to maintain itself in the warp, and it dissipates. Versus something
sort of
like the Emperor,
anchor,
whose soul is so strong that it can maintain itself within the warp.
Which reminds me, earlier I was thinking, what if you just put the Emperor into one of these fucking things?
Yeah, well, his body is so... I mean, you could, in theory, but his mind is so occupied within the warp, and what he is now is no longer... Like, he was never really human to begin with. But what he is now is no longer human enough to do that. He's a fractured entity, a pseudo-god. Or, not pseudo, proto-god. And is just like a fractured cosmic entity with different faces and... Yeah. If you put him in the god, in a dreadnought, you get something that you don't really want.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like the best of ideas. I don't know why, but... anytime I hear Dreadnought, I just picture that one Doctor Who episode with, I've forgotten his name.
How many
the
times?
The guy who does Taskmaster.
Oh, Greg Davies.
Yes, Greg Davies.
Yeah. How many times have we brought up Doctor Who on this podcast?
A lot of times, because that's the only shared point of interest that we have, apparently.
We have other shared points of interest. Just somehow...
but that's the only one relevant
I guess because it's sci-fi, so...
Sci-fi space.
Yeah, sci-fi space. So there ends up becoming a lot of crossover between Doctor Who and Warhammer.
Yeah, like I earlier was going to say the Dreadnoughts remind me of Cybermen.
Yeah,
Because you're taking bodies.
Yeah, but the Cybermen
slapping them
erase
into
your
metal.
mind and consciousness, whereas the Dreadnoughts don't do that.
What if someone rejects it? They're just like, I don't want to be a fucking dreadnought. Put me in the ground. Is it just like, all right, bullet to the head, or let's fix that with a controlled shock?
Space Marines don't really do that. They
They don't puss out.
Yeah, they're just like, all right, I'm in the Dreadnought.
Oh man. Well, while I'm here.
But yeah, in general, it's considered within the community, and I think to a degree in canon, it's not a great fate. It's not a great time to be in a Dreadnought.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be in a giant fucking metal suit.
You're just kind of like stuck fighting forever as your mind slowly slips away. And like pilots can be swapped out, though if the pilot is killed by the Dreadnought, no, I wrote that wrong. If the pilot is killed by something, but the Dreadnought itself is repaired, the Dreadnought can keep running. What did I write here? The pilot can be swapped out, though if the pilot is killed by the Dreadnought itself is repaired, and Dreadnoughts can keep running until the pilot is killed. That doesn't make sense. The point...
You have a stroke.
The point is, Dreadnoughts can sustain like a super lot of damage. Like you can rip off legs and arms of the Dreadnought, and it can keep running as long as the pilot is still alive. These things are fucking sturdy.
So the human is the battery.
Yeah, the human is the battery, essentially. Well, other things are the battery, but the human will keep the Dreadnought running, like no matter what injury. So you could, cut all the limbs off the Dreadnought except for one arm, and you're like, I got it, and you walk over to this machine that's lying on the ground and then just grabs your head and fucking crunches it with his one remaining arm.
That's hot.
Why are you the way that you are?
Well, you see, Doc, it all started back when I was a wee child, and I saw a robot in a horror movie, and I was like, that's kind of fine. I don't fucking know. Do you seriously think I'd have a tangible answer?
Yeah, this probably should have been mentioned earlier, but they also aren't like slow lumbering mechs that can be knocked off balance with ease. These motherfuckers are fast. On balance, and if they are knocked over, they can in fact get back up. And their mental
commands, like a turtle.
Yeah, their mental commands are instant. So there's no buffering. There's no like, I want to move my arm right, and then you wait like a fraction of a second, and then the arm moves right. It just moves as you thought. It's like
sort of slightly faster than the human body.
Yeah, it's like piloting a normal human flesh suit, except it's a robot.
A robot flesh suit. Now I'm just imagining a robot wearing a suit that's literally just made of flesh. I am not drawing that. I can't be asked.
Right. So, only Space Marines and Custodes can be in Dreadnoughts. It's because of their physiology, the black carapace implant that they've got in their body. There was, however, some old lore, and there was some of this was written so late at night, it's so obvious. There was, however, some old lore that there was a Sister's Dreadnought for Sister Ethereal Stern, who, if you're familiar with the character now, notably, not a Dreadnought. Now, I could not...
Is she a Blood Angel?
No, she's a Sister of Battle.
Oh.
Which is why I literally just said the Sister.
Yeah, but for some reason my brain was like, yes, sister faction. Of course that naturally means Blood Angel. Ugh.
But yeah, so you might have been confusing with Saint Celestine, who is an angel, and she is a member of the Sisters, but she looks like an angel. She's got angel wings and shit.
And she's hot.
Yeah.
Like an angel.
As all sisters are.
Yeah, it's kind of like the number one thing. It's not battle prowess first, it's, are you attractive? Yes, no.
I mean, it's not that. It's any woman that can kill me with a look is just like preem.
Would.
Now, yeah. So I could not for the life of me find any particular mention of Ethereal Stern having a model. Or having been in a Dreadnought, right? When I was looking for it. But there was a mini-sode. I didn't do an awful lot of really in-depth research, especially for this part. And I could not, for the life of me, find the model itself. However, I did find an order sheet with a picture of it. So while I couldn't find someone having a model, I could find, here's the form that you send to Games Workshop to get the model. So there's that model. The picture of the sister's
so
dreadnought.
itty bitty.
Yeah, it's old models.
Sororitas.
Yeah.
Nice. God, that's actually not too bad.
Yeah. So there's that. Also on the wiki, it does say the proto-dreadnoughts could be piloted by anyone. However, this is allegedly because I went to the page that the wiki says is its source for that specific piece of information. And that page is a stat block for a Thunderhawk. And all the pages around it are schematics for Thunderhawks or weapon platforms. Has nothing to do with dreadnoughts. I don't know why it lists that page as being the information. I read that book's entry on Dreadnought, nothing about people being able to pilot proto-dreadnoughts that are not Space Marines. So take that information with a grain of salt, because really, their source is wrong.
My source is I made it the fuck up.
Yeah. Like, it might be correct, but I can't verify it.
Or maybe it was like in the before days, but then page got edited.
Yeah. So, this brings us to the types of dreadnoughts that we get. That's all the information on the dreadnought. Now we're getting on the types of dreadnoughts. Right?
Ah, yes, the species.
Yes, the species of dreadnought. First, we got... You get ready for so many pictures, Corgi.
Oh.
We've
Oh,
got...
wait, like you sending them to me?
Yes.
Oh, that's fine. I thought you meant me, and I'm like, oh, fuck.
So, we got the Contemptor dreadnought. You better at least draw one picture of a dreadnought. I swear to God, if we do the dreadnought episode and you haven't drawn a picture of a dreadnought, don't draw the Contemptors. I don't like them. We've got...
And that's what this little itty bitty is.
So, yes. So we've got the Contemptor dreadnoughts. These motherfuckers are old. They are mostly only used in the Horus Heresy game type, and no one really fields them anymore. That is, except for the Adeptus Custodes. The Custodes are like the Sentry to the Space Marines Captain America. Fuck you if you don't get that reference. There's a really solid reference. But
I probably would have if I was paying attention, but I was just like looking at the tiny little itty bitty face.
I don't think you know the Sentry. He's kind of like a deep cut. He's about to be in one of the MCU movies, but he's a deep cut.
Sentry? No.
Yeah. They are what the Space Marines are, but so much better. Like,
wait, Sentry or these things?
The Custodes. So, because we've never discussed the Custodes, Corgi, so this is more information for you than the audience, because the audience probably knows what the fucking Custodes are.
Yeah,
like,
you keep throwing that word around.
Yeah, like you would think they would be chucking every dead Custodes in a dreadnought, and from what little I could find, that is kind of what they do.
Congratulations on your retirement. Congratulations on your promotion.
Yeah. However, if a Custodes feels like they have a penance to pay because they are a fucking idiot, and there is an empty dreadnought available because their previous owners died, they will volunteer to be interned because they are, again, fucking idiots. So their meat will be ground up until they are a bag of organs, shoved into a fluid, then chucked into a dreadnought because, again, they are a fucking idiot.
No thanks, I just prefer death or, being fired.
Okay, so next, we got the OG motherfuckers, the Castaferum Dreadnoughts. These are dreadnoughts that most people think of when you bring up dreadnoughts and they have been retired from models. You can't buy them anymore. They come in two variants, the Mark IV and the Mark V. They are...
Wait, why have they been retired?
They've been replaced with a different model in, like, purchasing model. They are still around in law. You just unallowed them.
That's forbidden.
Yeah. So... where the fuck? This is a Mark IV and this is a Mark V. Mark V is the first one. Mark IV is the second one.
Oh, itty bitty.
Yep. I feel like I have forgotten to describe their whole thing good. The weapons dreadnoughts use vary depending on what the chapter/dreadnought wants and the model of dreadnought. And as far as armor goes, it's adamantium and ceramite, which is just like better ceramics, tougher and more lightweight.
Yeah, I mean, I have seen some of the models where it's like they've got a drill for a hand.
Mm-hmm. Like the one I just sent you?
Yeah, you get what I meant, right?
Yes. Oh, that's funny.
Like the one on the screen?
Let me read the next line of my script. But they got variants like the Hellfire Dreadnought that's got rocket launchers, the Sea Dreadnought that has a drill. Literally the next line.
My favourite home improvement.
I was going, like, I put an ellipses in there, so I was obviously going to go, that has a drill. But then we already talked about the drill.
Once more, I derail your script. You keep trying to predict me, but joke's on you, I can't even predict myself.
Anyway, the Dreadnoughts also have a flamethrower. And, oh, sorry,
have a
the Siege Dreadnoughts have a drill and a flamethrower. And Ironclads, those are more heavily armored and close quarters weapons, like a chain fist. When punching someone with a giant robot hand isn't enough, add a chainsaw and saw their corpse to inflict maximum PTSD damage to those who bear witness to your flagrant disregard for the Geneva Convention. So,
yeah, hold on. This one's a dreadnought. It's the one that started this all.
Yep.
Grab me fist.
Salamander, I believe. No, Dark Angel. Because it's white and I fucking hate the Dark Angel color scheme. It looks fucking ass.
You were right. The Dark Angel's Deathwing Redemptor Dreadnought.
I hate that color scheme. Like, if it was green, it would be fine, but then they just throw the bone white. Looks ugh. Looks real uggo.
You're uggo.
Yo, imagine if, like you walk up, like, you're a guardsman and a space marine walks up to you, and, because some of them have absolutely ass color schemes, and you just go, yo, bro, you look fucking uggo. What would they do? What would the space marine do in that situation?
Easy. Remember what you said earlier about the dreadnought with only one arm?
Oh, yeah, crunchy, yeah.
Yeah, who the hell's gonna fucking... You're in massive trouble, young man. But like, just slowly reaches out the hand once more.
I can imagine there is some space marines that look down at their arm and go, look, you're not wrong.
Oh, why am I covered in piss? Sir, that is top of the line dreadnought armor, fresh off the line, in fact.
Yeah.
And you called it piss?
Yeah.
Yes.
The Piss Marines. Do you not know about the Piss Marines?
Oh my god.
The Imperial Fists, also known as the Piss Marines. I don't know if anyone calls them the Piss Marines, but they have piss yellow, and I every single time I complain about the Imperial Fists color scheme, I go, they have cool lore, but they're piss yellow.
You have to show me something.
As much as I talk shit about the Dark Angels color scheme, the standard green, good. It's on their, like, extra bits of armor and Terminators and Dreadnoughts, where it's like the bone white, I don't like. Mm-hmm. I don't mind the bone white as, like, accents, but the Imperial Fist being entirely piss yellow, terrible. Terrible design. Come up with a better design. Rogel Dawn should come back from the dead and be like, look, I made a mistake. We're getting rid of the piss yellow. We're doing something different. Anyway, if you're a fan of the Imperial Fists,
Imperial Piss.
Actually, that Contemptor Dreadnought, that's an Imperial Fist. That's their color scheme. That's the piss yellow.
Oh, the first one?
Yeah.
He's a pee baby.
Pee piss baby?
Pee baby. You gonna piss yourself? You gonna piss your pants?
Little baby like to watch women pee? Pee piss baby? Look, so many people complain about that comment. Go read Exterminators. It's fucking great. But it has a panel that is taken out of context, and a lot of people go, oh, they're ruining comics, and, like, this is clearly someone's fetish. It is hilarious. That comic is hilarious. It's beer o'clock, sluts. I felt bad saying it. Great line.
Oh, God, yeah.
Y'all got games on your phone? Laura has left the chat. Yo, someone add her back. Y'all got games on your phone? Laura has left the chat. Top 10 comics. Anyway, back on, I don't know how much of that will get kept. But now we got to the chapter-specific variants. And it's time for our fan-favorite segment we do every week. Whose vote is that vote? Corgi!
No one likes that segment.
Everyone loves it. Whose vote is that vote?
Communists?
Try again. I'll give you another one. Give a genuine thought.
Oh, wait, hang on. I know that symbol.
Give it a genuine thought.
That's part of, isn't that part of Sanguinius's clan, like the Blood Angels? Like, genuinely?
You fucking got it! Woo!
Blood Angels!
That is...
I remember that symbol from his ship.
That is the Blood Angels Furioso Dreadnought.
Furioso, but not Furiosa?
Correct.
Why did my Siri activate?
Fucking it wanted to congratulate you.
Yippee!
Now, the Furioso Dreadnought is a Dreadnought designed specifically for close combat because Blood Angels are weird like that.
Yeah, they're into that blood shit.
Yeah,
You've got the other guys who are piss babies, and these ones
Yeah.
are blood babies.
They rarely have heavy weapons and usually have 2 blood claws, giant stabby knives in the shape of fingers. This one.
Eh,
Or 2
judgment.
blood fists, fingers in the shape of giant stabby knives.
Hey, don't kink shame. I won't yuck anyone else's yum.
Which is that one. These giant stabby knives or giant stabby fingers have flamethrowers or storm bolters and melter guns underneath. Now, exclusively, the Blood Angels and their successors use the Furioso, but the Blood Angels don't exclusively use the Furioso.
What?
So,
Furioso.
Yeah.
Right, Furioso. I keep my brain autocorrects it to Furiosa.
So they use a bunch of different types of dreadnoughts, right? The Blood Angels, but no one else but the Blood Angels and their successor chapters use the Furiosos.
Probably because no one wants to be in the fucking vampire mobile.
Yeah, probably. So Death Company, however, that being the Blood Angels who think they are sanguineous exclusively, use the
Oh
Furioso.
fuck! I forgot about them.
Yeah. So now I think it's a really bad idea to put a guy who thinks he's sanguineous fighting Horus in a dreadnought, but apparently that's just me. Like, they don't usually start that way. They fall to the Black Rage while in the dreadnought, and it takes them a while to stop him, and then they look at him and go, nah, let him cook, and they just keep him. Why? Don't do that.
Because he literally cooks.
That's a bad idea. Don't do that.
Sorry, it's a bad idea to put a homicidal maniac with deluded schizophrenia in a giant metal kill suit.
It's not schizophrenia, but they go insane while usually they don't put a guy going through the Black Rage into the dreadnought. They would probably put Lamatis in the dreadnought. If Lamatis died, they'd probably chuck him in the dreadnought. But usually they go insane in the dreadnought. But it was like, hey, sometimes it takes them a day after the battle to just get the dreadnought. The guy is still just trying to attack everyone around him, and they're just trying to get close enough to just flip the off switch, and then they just go, "Nah, we'll keep him." Why? Don't.
I like this one. This one's crazy.
It took you a day after the battle to just stop him. Don't go. Nah, we'll send him out again.
I can't shame because, I mean, that's just. If you're a fellow Astarian picker in Baldur's Gate 3, you already know the feeling.
So, next, the Blood Angels also use... The Blood Angels have so many chapter-exclusive dreadnoughts. Oh, this is
God,
Death...
why did they get all the fucking...
I forgot to send you. This is a Death Company dreadnought. That's what it looks like.
Is it just a phase?
It's black with the X's. That's what Death Company looks like.
Yeah, but is that skull, is that meant to be an actual
I don't
person's?
know.
Because it just makes me think of the servitor skull.
See, it... We'll get into this when we talk about another one. But the Contempted Dreadnoughts have the little face, right? And as do the Mark IVs. They have the little face. And, you can see the little head sticking up. It looks fucking stupid. But they're supposed to be, interred in a sarcophagus, and they're just, a sack of organs. But sometimes they, are just, a mangled body. So, maybe they have heads. So, but, they're in a sarcophagus. But if they're a giant robot, and then their head is just sticking out, that's a design flaw.
Yeah, I mean, it's just going to be a headshot. And then, no.
You don't have the pilot of your tank just sticking his head out of the... Well, they used to. But, they don't need that. So maybe it is their head. It shouldn't be their head. Maybe it is, but I don't think it's their head. But then when we get to another thing, I'll bring it up when we get to his head's kind of sticking out, and it's kind of hey, that's his head. We'll get to it. But
yeah, how about we not play Gophers with our giant death machines?
Yeah. So Blood Angels also use Librarian Dreadnoughts, which are Furioso Dreadnoughts designed specifically for using psychic powers and weaponry. That is what a librarian is. It's a psycho space marine. Unless it's a space wolf, in which case it's a rune priest. Deathwatch.
Just a crotchety old librarian and a giant kill suit.
Yeah. Deathwatch, however, also... Hold up. Yeah, okay, so... I think I might have accidentally called Company Deathwatch earlier when I was talking about the Death Company Dreadnought. I think I might have said Deathwatch. Deathwatch...
No, I think you said Death Company.
Okay. Deathwatch, however, also uses Librarian Dreadnoughts, making them the only non-Blood Angel chapter... Blood Angel related chapter to use Furioso Dreadnoughts. However, Deathwatch is not... They're not an organized chapter. They're not a standard chapter. They're a chapter that is made up of other chapters that are specifically in Deathwatch for one reason or another.
And that reason is because they're total douches?
Depends. It entirely depends. It might be like, we need a force of guys that are just really fucking good at killing this specific type of Xeno. So they look at all the chapters and they just grab 10 guys from 10 different chapters, and they're just like, you have specialized specifically in this, and they bring them into Deathwatch. They put them in Deathwatch exclusive armor, and they have like their own logos. However, their shoulder pauldron on their right-hand side, I think, has their original insignia. So you know what each chapter, each member of Deathwatch comes from. But sometimes it's a punishment. So in Space Marine 2, the video game, that game starts with Titus in Deathwatch because he's being punished. Because they accuse him of heresy, so they send him into Deathwatch. He didn't do a heresy, it's just a guy who's kind of like, well, you were dealing with chaos and you should be corrupted, but you're not corrupted, but I think there's something going on there. People don't like Leandros. Anyway, Deathwatch is a company that is just made up of people who need to do a specific job at the time. Sometimes they go back to their original chapter after they're done with Deathwatch. Sometimes they just stay in Deathwatch for the rest of their life.
Like independent contractors.
Yeah, basically. The last Lamenter up until recently was a Deathwatch Dreadnought. So when they thought that the Lamenters had been destroyed by the Tyranid fleet during their penance, there was a single Lamenter Dreadnought in Deathwatch, and he was under the belief that he was the last Lamenter. And the General Imperium was under the belief that he was the last Lamenter.
But he wasn't.
No, he's not. Because they've since come back.
Damn. Just like Will and Afton.
Ah.
So funny. Sorry, I was stalling so I could finish my drawing of a librarian in a dreadnought.
But yeah, Deathwatch also uses their own dreadnoughts, though they have a habit of using weird weaponry, but that's because Deathwatch are weird guys.
Really? I'm surprised. Weird people in Warhammer.
So, then we've got the Grey Knight Dreadnoughts, which is basically a librarian dreadnought, with the caveat that it's a standard pattern and not a Furioso Dreadnought. It's got all the psychic upgrades. However, breaking from tradition, Grey Knights don't really want to be put in the sarcophagus, which, valid.
Yeah, I don't want to be put in it either.
Where's my Grey Knight picture? There it is. Here's my fucking... That's a Grey Knight Dreadnought.
Okay, but the missile launchers?
Yes.
Rocket missile?
Yes, rockets.
Point is, that's pretty fucking cool.
So, now, we've got the Space Wolves. The Space Wolves are the werewolf to the Blood Angels vampires. Space Wolves use regular dreadnoughts, but sometimes the Wolfen curse takes over and turns them into wolfmen, which isn't great when you're a sack of organs in a killer mech suit. So they will howl and twitch and spasm and just want to hunt their enemies. Imagine...
No, I'm just imagining, like, you see a hulking dreadnought, you hear horrid snarling, and you're just like, you grab a grenade, pull the pin, toss the grenade, and the fucking Space Wolf's like, bounds after it.
I just imagine you're a regular Space Wolf, you're just sitting there next to a dreadnought, and you're having a normal conversation, and then he just stops and starts twitching, and then he just howls, and you're just like, fuck. This isn't going to be a great situation that I'm currently in.
Oh, fuck, he's a furry.
This guy has just turned into a werewolf. Neat.
Well, there's worse fates. Like, you know, being put into a fucking dreadnought.
Yeah. So they're the Wolf Lords, which is they're like basically their lieutenants. Will kit them out with close combat weaponry and just send them into battle. And they do their giant mech werewolf thing. They do have one, however, called Murderfang.
Oh, I love Murderfang.
That is the image of Murderfang.
Oh, never mind. Put
Yeah.
a window on that face.
As you can see, that's what I mean. That's his face. That's a wolfen face that is sticking out. So if the other ones aren't their faces and they're just like a design, why does he have a wolfen face?
You know, I'm starting...
But also, that's a severe structural design flaw if they just have a regular face sticking out unarmored. Don't do that.
No, I think that someone has once tried to bring it up and they were like, you talking heresy about these perfect outfits.
That is, well, the Imperium wouldn't do that. The AdMech
will.
would 100% do that. If you go, hey, AdMech, that's a design flaw, they go, hey, go fuck yourself.
Don't question.
You fucking
Don't
heretic. And then they'll cut off your eyelids and turn you into a Skitari. Imperium will probably go, you're not wrong, that is a design flaw, but we tried to bring that up with their AdMech and they told us to go eat fucking dirt.
Also, I just want to preface, I'm not a furry, so don't come for me on how this Space Wolf looks, okay?
Space Wolves are quite famously considered Warhammer's
Non-canines.
furries. They are... There is the meme that everyone who plays Space Wolves are furries.
Ah, yeah.
And I don't know entirely how untrue it is. Because it's been a very long time since I've played the game.
I don't know. Are the IT guys playing them predominantly? If so, might be furry.
Yeah.
Not offending any IT friends out there, just saying that I respect you all. Please do not destroy my stuff. I can't afford it.
But yeah, so Murderfang, he's just a guy they found.
They just found this feral, snarling guy and they're like, oh,
They don't know who he is. They found some insane werewolf in the middle of the Fedrizian, like, which is where they're from, like wilderness. And they managed to capture him, and they put him in stasis, and when they need him, they just release him into a battle, and then have to capture him again. He's literally just a guy.
I just imagine rabid Wolverine just like staring the shit out of some feral creature and then facing it towards the enemy, letting go of it like a wind-up toy and it just mauls through them.
Yeah,
then you have to chase it down.
He's
like
literally
a
just
Beyblade.
Berserker Wolverine all of the time.
I must kill everyone. Oh, look at him go.
He's even got the 3 claws on each hand.
Ooh. First they take adamantium and now the 3 claws? Come on. Wait, what do you mean Games Workshop did it first?
Well, Games Workshop didn't do adamantium first, but adamantium comes from Lord of the Rings.
Oh, I always forget that.
Yeah. Next, we got the Mortis Dreadnought from the Dark Angels. They got 2 big guns on either arm. That's kind of it. They're fucking shit color scheme.
Oh, honey. They look like, have you had those green tea Kit Kats?
Yes.
They look like that, only I don't want to eat them. I just want to watch them melt. That's so sad.
Anyway, last week, we got the Venerable Dreadnoughts. That's it. They're old. No, I fucked that up. They're old. That's it. Nope, I still fucked that up. And then lastly, we got the Venerable Dreadnoughts. They old. That's it. Nothing special about them. Just if you are in service for long enough, they get the title Venerable Dreadnought. Now, the wiki lists them as being in the Mark 6, but I think that's a typo because they all look like Mark 4s. Hold up, here's a picture of a Venerable Dreadnought. They cover the Mark 4s in purity seals and demonic wards because there is a general belief that they have an inbuilt flaw that makes them prone to demonic possession. And
no, I'm pretty sure the inbuilt flaw is the fact that their head is fucking exposed.
yeah, also that. Maybe that's why they're prone to demonic possession, is because their head's sticking out and demons just go fucking yoink.
Yeah, I mean,
Straight access to brain.
everyone knows that demons are like mosquitoes.
Yeah.
All they need is a little bit of your skin and then...
So some of these motherfuckers are old. I mentioned Björn earlier.
The bear.
Yeah, the bear. Björn Fellhand. He is over 10,000 years old. He has met Lehman and was from a time when the Emperor was still alive.
God, shit ass.
And, which is an aside, that's kind of a whole thing, is he knows the Emperor isn't a god and doesn't worship the Emperor, and everyone around him believes he is a god. Here is a great Björn quote. God Emperor. Calling him a god was how this mess started.
Yeah.
So literally just like, what the fuck? What are you guys talking about? Shut up. That's also like kind of a thing now with the Stasis Primaris being integrated into the regular Marine chapters, where they're all from like the Horus Heresy era.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, we must pray to the God Emperor. Pray to the what?
The God Emperor.
The who?
No. God.
Anyway, if a venerable dreadnought is a chaplain, it's chaplain dreadnought. Creative name, right? Yeah.
Chaplain.
I don't think I saved a picture of a chaplain dreadnought, but imagine a dreadnought with more skulls.
Ah, yes. I can picture it clear as day.
Yep. So there are 2 Horus Heresy dreadnoughts. The Dorito and Leviathan patterns. There is also the Fury Bundus. They are fun. They're old lore stuff. Regular people could pilot them and they look kind of dumb, and the Lucifer pattern, which has absolutely no details. And like that's it for the old dreadnoughts. Now, lastly, the last pattern, the Redemptor dreadnoughts. Controversial opinion, I like these models. There is your Redemptor dreadnought. When it loads, there you go.
God damn.
Yeah.
Finally, someone with proper fucking head casing.
Yeah. And they got like an actual sarcophagus, and you can take like the panel that puts the sarcophagus down. They look really cool. I like them. Other people don't, but also people don't like them because of lore stuff, and also people just don't like Primaris because of lore stuff. Yeah, it is what it is. I don't mind the Primaris, but also just I kind of like their models a bit more. Less so like, oh, I like the fact that they're Primaris models. I just like the fact that they don't look like goofy. As someone who's been around since like the early 2000s in Warhammer, and like seeing the old models, I looked to my right. I have an old model right next to me on my right, and just went, fuck, man, they look bad.
Dinosaur.
And then the new models is like, they look like what you imagine a Space Marine is supposed to look like when you like hear them described, like the model, and then it's just like, and then you look at the old model, and it's just kind of like, But these guys are bigger dreadnoughts, designed to fit the bigger Primaris Marines.
You mean the biggest heads?
Yeah. However, the AdMech that built it kind of didn't give a shit about the whole, hey, we are saving these guys from death for a reason, which is typical AdMech. So what if we just put an immense strain on the pilot and that they burn out and have to be replaced sometimes, to the point of being just a sack of black organs when we take them out?
Jesus.
Yep. Shout out to the AdMech just not valuing lives.
Yeah,
That's the whole thing about like the AdMech is people have noted they make really fucking good villains. like Imperials as villains are just like, oh man, bureaucracy just kind of they're so bureaucratic, and like, oh, anything is heresy, so we just like put them out, and it's just like it's more death by bureaucracy, versus the AdMech of like, oh no, you're a resource and we are going to grind you into dust. We are going to take you and then turn you into a machine and just like take all your organs, take off your eyelids, and turn you into an infantry. Versus, the Imperium, which is like, oh, we're going to take your kids as soldiers, but they're going to be soldiers. We're not going to destroy their identity. Just if they're like, hey, I don't like this thing, it's like, whoa, sorry. You die. You're dying for that. You disagreed with any form of authority? That's a death sentence.
Yeah, it's either conform entirely or you don't have a choice. Guess what? Sludge.
Yeah. It's you can keep your identity but you have to conform, versus we are going to strip every part of you that makes you human. Fun. Anyway, they come in 3 variants. The regular Redemptor, gun on one arm and fist on the other, with a much smaller gun or flamer underneath. That's the one I sent you. Then there's the Basilistus. There it is. They gave it all the guns, missile launchers, and las cannons.
If I had to be in any of them, I would be in that one.
So you're further away from everyone?
So I can be overkill, just like my voice is.
I think that's the one that, like, burns you out the quickest. Because it's all the weapons, the extreme amount of weapons on it, just burns you out.
You say that, but all I'm hearing is early retirement.
It's not a retirement, it's death, but, you know.
Retirement from life. Duh. What are you, stupid?
And then...
Sorry, I don't know why I'm being sassy. I think it's because my nose is really dry.
And then the Brutalis. It has giant stabby knife hands with 2 guns on the roof of the Dreadnought. I like the roof guns. If I could take that and put it on a Redemptor, love it.
I just love the thought of this little thing coming at you like a toddler, just grabby hands while it's shooting you. Here I come.
Anyway, that does it for this mini-sode. I don't own any Dreadnoughts. I have literally woken up a few days and gone, today is the day I buy a Dreadnought. And then I never like them well enough, so I don't buy them. And then for this episode, I resolved to buy a Redemptor Dreadnought, because I do like it. But they were all sold out, so I still don't own a Dreadnought. Anyway.
Moral of the story is, get fucked.
Yeah. If you like this video, do the like, share, subscribe, share, like thing. You can follow me on Instagram at shay.ratman. I've set that up. I mentioned it in a previous episode during Sausage Talk about possibly setting that up. I have been buying paints and got storage to put my models somewhere. So I will probably start painting up the Scaventide box when I have time. And also, for a hot minute, travel photos. If that is something that you at all care about. While I am away, I will probably be posting reels. Is that what Instagram uses? And the occasional photo of where I am. But then, once I get back, Warhammer stuff.
The usual.
Yeah.
That's a little bit of SCP if I can get my shit together.
Yeah, once Corgi finishes a fucking script.
Script writing is hard.
Yeah, it is hard. And I have to do it every week.
Yeah, but you're used to it.
Now. Anyway, that's the end. Next episode will probably be another mini-sode. There'll probably be mini-sodes for a while. Also, 40k, our Age of Sigmar episodes are mostly just me learning about Age of Sigmar and then talking about that, while 40k is more, I know this information, so I know that they aren't big enough for a full hour-ish, hour 30 episode and can cover them. So the mini-sodes will probably be mostly 40k. If there is something in Age of Sigmar that you know is kind of short and can be covered in 30 to 40 minute episodes, let me know and I might take a look at it. As I said, I'm a little busy at the moment, planning a honeymoon, showing someone who's not from here around my city, and playing a game I have been waiting for a decade for.
In between me desperately clawing at your heels, like, please, more Remnant.
Yeah. Look, we'll play Remnant in February next year.
It's on my schedule, and it's not until next quarter, so fuck yourself.
Anyway, thank you. Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Hold on, I just gotta quickly send a text to Mum. Okay.
I shouldn't have done that. That's just made lines on my audio track automatically removing the silence isn't going to get rid of. Whoops. Sorry, I just got a text from someone I was hanging out with today. I drove for 5 hours today, and they've texted me again.
You drew it?
I drove for 5 hours today.
Oh. Where did you go to?
I was with a friend of mine who's a foreigner. His brother is in town. You've met the guy.
I've met several people and immediately...
When we were... remember when we went into the mountains with that friend of mine?
Yes?
Yes. So that I went on holiday... Not on holidays. I went away with him and his brother into rural Queensland to show them a ridgy-dig country town, because they'd never... Like, everything that we've shown them and take them around is like standard Australian city. And I wanted to show them like the standard country Australian experience, which required driving past the Great Dividing Range. So you get into the more outback and went to a country town. And we had at a pub.
Hell yeah, though.
Yeah. He got fucked over because he ordered a hamburger and they didn't put in the ingredients beetroot, which if you're from Queensland, beetroots are in fucking everything. So you just kind of expect it.
Oh.
And he was like, what the fuck is this? And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's beetroot. And he was like, I do not like this.
Well, too damn bad. Welcome to Australia.
Yeah, welcome to Queensland specifically.
I used to have those all the time in summer, just beetroot and cheese.
I hate beetroot. See, I got the beetroot removed from my order because I just expected it to be in there.
No beetroot on mine. As for my friend, who is not very well aware, put beetroot in his. Just fucking fill it. He just gets a plate pushed in front of him and it's a burger, like fucking 15 meters tall, filled with beetroot only.
I was not expecting this video to have end of video content, but here it is.
Well, that's because...
It's because I got texted.
We always go on tangents.
No, went on tangents because I got texted in the middle of the recording.